Ladies and gentlemen, we have with us today a serial entrepreneur, Sunil Sapra, who is currently the co-founder and chief growth officer at Eventus Security in Singapore. Sunil is the man behind the by now well-known and celebrated Chal Faqeera movement on LinkedIn. His blogs and videos on LinkedIn give a very different vibe from the conventional corporates of the world today. Sunil, welcome to the show. Can you tell us about your early childhood days? Which city do you come from and your family and school life a little bit?
Thank you, buddy. Thank you so much for such a beautiful and introduction. I'm not sure if I deserve that, but yes, thank you. And a quick. I mean, early childhood. I was born in a city called Rewari, which is about like 40 kilometers ahead of Gurgaon, and just born there. And then my parents moved to Gurgaon. So for every practical purpose, I can say that Gurgaon is the city where I spent first probably 42 years of my life, except those 4 years when we went to Pilani. And yeah, so parents were in a government job. My mom was a teacher, and eventually she retired as a principal of a primary school in Haryana education. And my dad was a superintendent in a education, one of the colleges in the education department. And I always laughed that because my parents were in education department, I had no choice. I'm their eldest child. I had no choice but to be born on a teacher's day. So I'm born on 5th September, no choice, right? And when I started writing the Chal Fakira, I said ये वो कर्ज है जो मुझे चुकाना था, being being born to parents in an education department and being born on a teacher's day. So this was my sort of a payback thank you to the destiny. Yeah.
Wonderful. And something about your school days.
School days were, to be honest, I mean, when we were growing up, the school was not very eventful like schools are today. I went to a school called St. Michael's in Gurgaon. There were only two schools, good schools. Then the rest were like, one was Our Lady of Fatima, OLF, which was English medium, and St. Michael's was a Hindi medium. And I went to St. Michael's because obviously that time English was a struggle, right? And the parents didn't teaching English, learning English was a those early days. So I went to St. Michael's, pretty decent school, pretty nice school, not very far from my home. And yeah, had a good circle in the school, and I was a fairly good, decent student. But okay, something that I can share on your blog. I don't know if I would do that anywhere else. I was a bit silent, sitting in the corner, always in the background kind of a guy. Not sure if it was insecurity or it was a general, lack of confidence, or was it that time and age was like this, that people were not very outgoing and very so participated in some sports and some extracurricular, but largely it was about studies. And yeah, so I do not really have some too many fond memories of the school time, but yeah, it was an okay, normal school life. Yeah, nothing really that stands out. Yeah.
Wonderful. And after school, you went to BITS Pilani, didn't you? The prestigious Engineering Institute of India. In fact, I studied there too, 2 years junior to you. So please tell us, how did BITS Pilani happen to you, given that the entrance system in BITS Pilani was quite different those days, and most of all, it was considered a very expensive place to study in.
Yeah, I mean, so I call bits. I'm indebted to bits for my life. Okay, and if you one of my books, I said I bow only to few people in my life. One is the God Almighty, my Baba, my parents, and Bits Pilani for making me what I am. So I have that kind of respect for Bits Pilani. I treat it as my temple. If Bits had not happened in my life, I don't know where my life would have been. Maybe it would have been better or worse. I don't know, but it won't have been so beautiful that it is. So I credit Bits a lot for that. So I think most of us do, right? Bits really transformed us from those young little underconfident people to the kind of leaders of future, right? So Bits has that beautiful capability and that beautiful vibe. So I I also And I'm sort of so during our times, bits didn't have this bit sat, right? It was largely on the basis of the percentage of 12th marks. I scored about 79.5%, something around that 80% in Haryana board. But the beauty was Haryana board, the topper was about 85, 86%. And so bits used to have a process called normalization, which is now called percentile, right? So my percentile was about 93, 94 because of the your marks divided by the toppers marks into 100. And my look at my luck. One evening I was just going for a walk and I was waiting for my admission into REC Kurukshetra where I was waitlisted. um, a dear buddy of mine who's now the chairman of Business World India, Anurag Batra, I met him on a walk. He said, Sunil, I have this BITS Pilani form and I've just got admission into TIT Bhiwani and do you want to take it? I said, why not? I had no idea. I just took the form, I filled it out, and after a couple of months, I received a letter saying that your admission is granted. Please come by this date and pay the fee. That date was 15 days before I received the letter, thanks to the Indian Post at that time. And then we rushed, my father and I rushed to Pilani. We met Professor Gopalan, who was the head of the admissions. He said, I'm sorry, I mean, the admissions are over, etc., etc., and all. We requested him, what's my fault? I got the letter late and stuff. And so he said, okay, just hang in there. If somebody leaves, I'll give you that seat, irrespective of the degree. I mean, obviously, you have to qualify for that. And somebody, by my luck, left a seat, went to Jadavpur University in Calcutta, and I got I'm the last ID of my batch, 753. So, yeah, it's an interesting story how I got into BITS. Yeah.
Amazing. Now, I would like to fast forward now suddenly to the current times, where
Yeah.
you have achieved almost a cult-like status, believe it or not, with your Chal Faqeera brand or concept. Please tell us a little bit more about Chal Faqeera.
Prashant, thank you for saying these big words. Hearing them giving me goosebumps, cult-like status. It feels good. What happened was, Prashant, I was always very good at expression. Even in college, if you remember, I participated in some of the dramas, and I used to, for Hindi drama club, I used to edit the scripts and sort of modify them to the bits vibe, right? So I used to do that, but then it just died down, completely died down, and I think it was only after a move to Singapore. See, Singapore, the pace of life is much slower than what it is in Delhi, right? You don't spend 2 hours one way traveling and stuff. And my house is right next to the ocean, and my balcony opens to the ocean. So in the evening, when you sit, and sometimes you start getting those old thoughts and old, what do you say, the emotions again. And out of the blue, I started writing poetry. We had our 95 batch, 1990 batch reunion in Pilani in 2014. I just wrote, my first writing was a song, which I'll share later, called Bits Pilani Jaisi Koi Jaga Kahan. From there, I started writing. And I have one thing I notice now when I look back, connect the dots. I've always been a very, very keen observer of life, what goes on a daily basis, how things happen, why things happen. I have still not lost my sense of wonder. I still go to an ATM and punch in the card, and when the money comes out, I'm enthralled. Look at the technology, how this whole thing is working. I'm just punching a card, I'm getting the money. I like to be even now, I like to be surprised and feel good about these. It's like a childlike sort of emotion somewhere, or a vibe somewhere which is still there. So I like it. So one fine day, my Baba, I'm a devotee of Shirdi Sai Baba. I'm his child. I'm not his devotee. I'm his child. I'm his favorite child. So he sent a message saying that, Sunil, every person has a unique light in this world, and that person has to share that light with the rest of the world. And your light is your expression. Okay, share the expression that comes to you handedly, transparently, right from the heart to the people. If somebody, it may resonate with somebody in that, at that moment, may need a perspective which you may provide. That is the day I started writing the blogs on LinkedIn called Chal Faqeera. Faqeera has been, I've been writing under the name Faqeera for some time in my poetry. So when I started writing blogs, I just continued with the same name, Chal Faqeera. And Chal Faqeera means uh, keep observing this world from a third person's lens, and keep walking, keep moving, live as if you are observing the universe and not really part of it. So it's like a fakiriyat, they call.
Wonderful. But now let me take you back to your university days from BITS Pilani.
Yeah.
I distinctly recall that you ran the elections for the head of the mess committee at BITS Pilani. So, before dealing with the main question that I will pose to you presently, I request you to please tell the audience members a little bit about the mess system at BITS Pilani during those days.
Okay, so yeah, I did in my third year. I won the elections for the post of student mass council coordinator, and at that time it was the with the highest ever margin possible. It was said, and it felt very good. But now it's, you laugh at it, but that time it really felt good for the ego, right? So bits had a very different, very unusual concept. They were messes which were managed by the students themselves. They were student mess council. They were mess committees which had I think five or seven mess committee members, then a non-veg secretary and a vegetarian secretary, and on top of it, the head of the messes was student mess council coordinator. So typically, the students themselves used to go for the elections. They used, when they win, they manage the messes right from the procurement to the menu to what will go on to the to the mess workers and their well-being. Everything was managed by the students themselves. And yeah, so the vegetarian secretary will ensure that the vegetarian food and everything and the vegetables are taken care of. The non-veg secretary would take care of that, the non-veg food and everything. We had to take care of the hygiene of everything that goes into management of a mess which had 400 students eating at three times a day, and then the tea, coffee, the snacks time. So four times a day was up to these seven people. So it was quite a intense job, and quite a powerful job as well as a responsible job at that time. And since I was running the all the six messes and I was the head of that, so the responsibility and power was enormous at that time, at the age of 19, 17. Yeah, yeah.
Wonderful. And after all these years, of course, it was a secret ballot, but I can say with a pardonable pride that I did vote for you in my first year and
Thank you.
not for your opponent. So,
Thank you.
clearly you made your mark. And
Thank you.
a lot of freshers voted for you, and you won with a huge margin, as you said. So, thanks for that, Sunil, explaining the mess system at BITS Pilani. Now, main question that I've always wanted to pose to you over all these years, and I'm sure a lot of others as well, is given that it is an open secret that being elected as the head of the mess committee means lakhs of rupees, and we talk 1990s out here, in kickbacks for the large food contracts of the college. So please forgive me for asking this. How much money did you make for yourself? Let's now see how truthfully the Fakira can speak.
That's a good question. To be honest, it's not offensive or anything in any manner. It's a good question, and I think it's something that should be answered, and I'll answer it. See, what happens is, Prashant, any position that has some power, especially the power to sign the check, right, is bound to receive a lot of favors or the request for favors. Whether it's a mess committee member or a student mess council coordinator or the president of the office or a purchase department in an organization or a CIO or a CISO or a CTO or a CEO, right? We all, whether you are in government job or private, we know that there are people who always seek. I believe that this world is a marketplace of favors, right? There are favors getting exchanged every time, right? So when people want or need something from you, they would want to offer you favors in return. It's up to you how much you allow yourself to be carried away with that. So now coming to the BITS Pilani days and my student mess council coordinator's job, it was a uh, my if I can recall, I think the annual purchases of that time, the annual expense, the budget was about 3 crores, right? Which in today's 35 years later will be few millions, right? So it was a because you were approving everything, every mess's budget and every vendor and everything. Yeah, I think it was about 3 crores sort of a budget at that time. And at a very young and gullible age of 17 or 18, imagine somebody who's a multimillionaire comes to you in his car and says, "Sir, can you sign it for me?" How would you feel, right? So it was a very and I'm not sure whether it was a good idea or a bad idea by the institute let children run and be vulnerable to such kind of an exposure at such early age. It has a good and a bad angle both. I would say that what I earned was much more than the annual budget of the messes. I earned worth millions. I'll tell you how. That experience stayed with me. That experience built my character, and it very early. I was never a hardcore coder or a very good developer, or it prepared me for what I do today, handling conflicts, people, you know, uh, situations, difficult situations, ensuring that there's harmony all the time. So very early in age, I got exposed to all this. I want to share an experience with you, Prashant, which probably I've not shared with other than people very close to my in my life. Prashant, when I was in third year, when I was a student and Mess Council coordinator, even the biggest millionaire of Pilani or even Delhi and neighboring areas who were the suppliers to the to the college and they wanted contracts, they would wait outside my room for hours just for me to make an appearance and say, "Yes, sir, I'm ready to meet you," right? And in my fourth year, when I was a caretaker SMC coordinator and Nanda took over from me later, during that time and after that, the last semester that I was in bids, even their junior most staff, who's like just coming and dumping the onions or milk or there. If I'm coming in the corridor from a distance, he will look at me and he will change his path so that he doesn't have to say namaste to me, right? Boss, I tell you what, can you get this lesson? How many people are fortunate to get this lesson so early in your life that this world runs on transactions? If you are useful, if you are relevant to somebody, they will do anything for you. The day you are not relevant, you are a nobody, you are a furniture, right? That lesson stayed with me, Prashant. That lesson is worth millions and billions. And probably, if I go back now, connect the dots, maybe my Faqeera was born at that time. Maybe. Because then you realize what this world is about and how should you go on living your own life, not depending upon the outside world and their perceptions of you, but what you truly are. So yeah, I made millions.
That's very diplomatic answer, and also at the same moment has a lot of wisdom in it. So, we leave it at that, and we've come a long way, Sunil. So, thanks for that candid answer. Uh, but in general, apart from what you mentioned as learnings, which at a young age and a tender age of 17 came to you with these elections of the mess committee, please tell our viewers some of your favorite memories from BITS planning and how it changed your life.
Mm. I can share the memories of Bishpalani for the rest of my life. Everything about Bishpalani and the stay there was magic. Every day, every moment was magic. We, Prashant, you and I and our friends, we are lucky. We are fortunate. We went to a college. When my kids were watching Three Idiots, right? And they said, "Wow, what a college! I wish there were colleges like this." Uh, I said, 1990, this was our lifetime. Go attend any class, or don't attend any class if you don't want to. I mean, you could attend any course, any class. You can learn anything. You can pick up electives from Gandhian thoughts to artificial intelligence. I remember picking up artificial intelligence in 1993 and dropping it. I couldn't get. I wish I had taken it up today. OpenAI would belong to me, right? Right, Prashant, you remember the vast plethora of courses you could do, from philosophy to a history of mankind to history of science and technology to C++ coding, COBOL, whatever. I mean, which college offers you this? I mean, you enroll in any degree and you do any course, any class. You can attend a 8 o'clock morning class, or you can skip all the classes whole day, and then that beautiful temple, that campus, going for walks in the evening, the food, the ladies. I mean, I can go on and on, Prashant. The friendships we formed, brilliant. Today we are connecting probably after years, but is there any discomfort? You and I can talk for million hours, And the funny thing is, whenever we meet, the friends and our spouses meet, our wives, they feel that, oh, we are already half Bitsians, because you only thing you talk about it bits in those days. It was, I think, if I have to pick the single best thing that have ever happened to in my life is bit. So yeah, there.
Right, can't agree more with you. We could attend any professor, even if our registered professor was different. And the best of all, you didn't need attendance. You just have to crack the exams. And it was a unique system, and what a wonderful time we had over there. And you also penned the lyrics of a song sung to the tune of Ali Haidar's "Purani Jeans" or guitar. Please tell us the story behind it, and if you can hum that song for us in your own lyrics, that would be a
Yeah,
treat for the viewers.
yeah, actually, it was not Purani Jeans. It was Papa Kehte Hain. So when 2014 we were doing this reunion, that time there was a plan. Okay, let's do some sort of an anthem for this. So it was called Bits Pilani Jaisi Koi Jagah Kahan, Apne Khwabon Ki Duniya Thi Wahan, 90 के यारों, 25वां साल है ये मौका फिर से आएगा ना, हाँ, बिट्स पिलानी जैसी कोई जगह कहाँ, समथिंग लाइक दैट, अपने ख्वाबों की थी दुनिया ही वहां, 90 के यारों, 25वां साल है ये मौका फिर से आएगा ना. Something like it. It was nice. I think it has some 25,000 views on YouTube. People loved it. It kind of built that momentum for that event, and more than 300 people from all over the world with their families landed up in December in Pilani. That is the enthu, that is the passion which flows in our blood, right? So yeah.
Absolutely, and I dare say you sing very well, and I suppose the Faqeera can even sing as well. That would be an icing on the cake. So go for it sometime,
Yeah, Prashant,
right?
I think this is one thing that is very close to my heart. I really want to learn singing. I love Rafi Saab and Kishore Da are my angels. I worship them. I think someday I'll take a probably formal singing lessons, and why not? I mean, it's a deep desire in my heart. Someday, hopefully, I will learn it and hum some of the songs. Yeah.
Inshallah. Well, when I look back at your career over the last more than 30 years, I find a whopping number of nearly 32 entries on your LinkedIn career timeline, and we will come back to that in just a bit. However, there's a gaping hole from 1994 to 2000. 1994 or perhaps 95 was a year you passed out of BITS Pilani.
Yeah.
Are you in any way shy to publish what you did in the first 5 or 6 years of your life after BITS Pilani?
Not really. Now that you mentioned it, I think I should probably go and list down those companies. Uh, I won't call them inconsequential companies, because I still have friends from those companies. I learned in those companies, and they are still part of my life, right? Probably I omitted them because probably they were not relevant to what I do now. So if you see my LinkedIn, it starts from, I think, Silink or HeroSoft, one of somewhere there. Those were the roles which were more relevant to what I do now. Probably that's the reason. But now that you mentioned it, may be a good idea to revisit and include. My first company was Birla Yamaha, where I worked for. I joined as a management trainee. I was selling the gensets and stuff. Second company was a company called ITW Signode India Limited, which is a Illinois-based company into the auto, machine tools and stuff. It's an industrial. And then I moved to IT with a very small company called FinEdge Technologies Private Limited, where it was a friend's company. I helped them build a sort of a software sales business. And yeah, and then so I'll probably good that you pointed out. Probably include them now. Yeah.
So how was the transition from college to the big bad world out there, and did it come as a jolt, or was it a smooth transition for you?
Big shock, big jolt. Very, very big shock. And a very, very big jolt is still an understatement. I tell you, I used to laugh that my father used to be proud that my son studies at BITS Pilani. That's a big pride for parent. And the next day, what does your son do? Oh, he's a trainee at Birla Yamaha. In one day, look at the pride switching, right? But that's the reality of life, right? You remember Rangde Basanti, Amir Khan never wants to graduate out of the college because he feels I will be lost, I will be nobody outside the college. So we went to the best college, lived the best life, and suddenly you are catching a bus in the morning, going 1.5 hours to Delhi, and you are dumped to work because you are an intern, and nobody cares that you are a Bitsian anymore, right? Now you are part of the organization which has to do KRS on a daily basis, right? It was a big jolt. And to be honest, it took time to adjust to the reality, right? And then you are on the scooter because that time we didn't have cars. You were on a scooter making sales calls, five, six, seven sales calls from Gurgaon going to Ghaziabad, Amrit, Vanaspati, and Hamdard and all that. I mean, it was shocking, and I was wondering, is this the life that I signed up for? Did I really go to bits for this? So I questioned myself, and I said, no, this is not what I want. Most of my friends had done coding and they were in US. I didn't want to go to US, but I thought, what is the escape from this kind of a life? And then I moved to IT, and that's a long story. But yeah, it was a big jolt, definitely.
So while you were the Rocket Singh in the latter half of the 90s, then came the 2000s, and you worked from 2000 till 2002 in companies like Linquest, Telecom, and HeroSoft, like you were mentioning. But in April of 2002, you joined Veritas Technologies as a sales manager. And you say on LinkedIn about Veritas, and I quote, "My career reincarnation after wandering around for initial few years." Can you please elaborate a little bit about this reincarnation?
But definitely. I think the first company in my chosen direction was HeroSoft. I was a senior manager selling SAP solutions. But the company wasn't really going anywhere, despite being backed by the Hero Group and had some of the brilliant minds as leadership. I still can't fathom the reason why this company didn't do well. But when I got into Veritas, it was a true blue multinational. I had not worked for a multinational before. It was a wonderful American company, billion plus in revenue, great solutions. People demanded those solutions. You go to the customers, they treat you with respect. Oh, somebody from Veritas is there, and they instilled the sense of pride in us. I mean, we used to say the Veritas like flows in our blood, right? So I kind of learned a very different way, which is now the way. So Veritas was probably early. So I realized how professional run company and American multinational with top-notch, brilliant, most brilliant minds. I was probably the least qualified to be in Veritas. People were brilliant, my colleagues, my peers, my bosses, learning so much from them on a daily basis, understanding that this is also a way you kind of sell, and this with a pride you go. I probably learned my most in Veritas. So far, if I can say, if I have to pick one company where my foundation was built, a strong foundation was built, was Veritas. So that's why I call it the reincarnation of my career. And from there, my career just zoomed. I mean, it took off. I mean, I probably covered up in 5 years, in 4 to 5 years of the gap, which people would have taken 20 years. I just zoomed. So Veritas, from that perspective, was really and I made a name for myself. People in Delhi market knew who Sunil Sapra was. I really, really made a name for myself. So I'm indebted to Veritas for that. Yeah.
Wonderful, and clearly you never looked back after that because after
Yeah,
Veritas, you joined Hitachi, and then in July of 2007, you joined WatchGuard as the India and SAARC country manager.
yeah,
I believe SAARC, South Asian Association for
yeah,
Regional Cooperation.
exactly.
This
Yeah.
was perhaps the first whisper of cybersecurity, which is a hallmark of your career. And you call your stint at WatchGuard as your first claim to fame. Why do you
Yeah.
call it that?
Okay, so WatchGuard was not my choice. I was about to join Gartner as a national sales head, right? Everything was there, and I didn't want to join security. Security was not that big as it is now. That time it was the data centers, the storage, the data storage. Security was firewalls and antivirus, right? But this one just came up out of the blue. My ex-boss recommended me. He says, I think this is tailor-made for you. When I met my boss, later boss in WatchGuard, he's an Australian gentleman by name Norbert Case, he's a neighbor here. Then eventually he and I became business partners and we started the company together. When he came, we clicked and he said, Sunil, I think you are the guy. WatchGuard was going through a very tough time in India. The company had almost closed its shop, and globally the company was taken over by a private equity investor. There was too much mess happening at that time, and they needed a resurgence team. They called it a resurgence team, and I don't know why I was picked. I didn't have that kind of an experience. I'd never done an India role before. I was not in security. Just that Norbert felt, Sunil, I feel that you're the guy for this, and I want you to make an offer. I want to make you an offer. He took a leap of faith. I took a leap of faith. And with zero budgets, zero support, we completely turned around the India business within 2 years. Met, made friends in industry, old friends, they came from industry, they came and supported us. The turnaround of WatchGuard was brilliant. I feel so proud of that, proud of my team, my ecosystem, my partners, and myself, that we could really do this. And I said, if we can do this for a job for somebody else, I can do it for myself. So that was the founding step of my entrepreneurship journey. The WatchGuard success gave me the confidence that if without budgets, if without resources, and without a humongous sort of support from the headquarters, if we could turn it around, I can build it into a practice or a service and start offering to the other companies. That's what we did. So WatchGuard is my first claim to fame still, is what I would like to believe. Yeah.
Wonderful. And you worked at WatchGuard till 2009, then at Sophos as a country director till 2012, and Chem Technologies till 2014. It appears to me that you were honing your skills in the business area of cybersecurity, and it was in 2014 that you started your real work, that of being an investor and an entrepreneur. So please walk us through that journey from 2014 till today as your investor and entrepreneurship career and some interesting learnings along the way.
Sure. Actually, it was 2009 when I quit WatchGuard and I started a company with my ex-boss, Norbert Kiss, no, who was my boss in WatchGuard. We started a company called Asia Entry Private Limited, and we said whatever we are doing, whatever we have done for WatchGuard, we'll start offering it as a service to the companies who want to enter Asia, but who do not have budgets or who do not have that kind of a support. So we built Asia Entry Private Limited. The first company which entrusted us with their Asia operations was a company called Astaro, a German company. We built the joint venture with them for Asia called Astaro Asia Private Limited. We built the company from scratch in this part of the world. It became the fastest growing firewalls company in this part of the world. And Astaro got acquired by Sophos. So that is how I I became part of Sophos. But Sophos, my job was just to hand over and move on. We had made some money. We wanted to enjoy that money, and we wanted to continue to be on the entrepreneurial path that we had chosen. So Sophos, I think I was there for about 6 months, something, where I just handed over, got the next, they hired the next leader. I just handed over and I moved out. Kemp was another venture. I didn't join Kemp. We launched them in Asia under a similar model like Astaro. It was not a joint venture, but it was sort of an outsourced to us. And during Kemp time, I moved to Singapore, 2013. And then I brought a few more companies to Asia, and then one after the other, we started launching those global startups into Asia as their joint venture partners or as their success-based partner model and stuff. That journey has been continuing so far. I don't know how many. Seriously, I can't recall how many. Probably I would have helped 30, 32 startups in their startup scale and exit kind of a journey. Yeah.
Awesome. And so let's leave your corporate side aside now and let's discuss the Chal Faqeera motto, which is clearly extremely close to your heart. And you discussed it a little bit earlier. It was in November of 2017, wasn't it, that you published your book Faqeera Chal Chala Chal, which contains a collection of just 84 of your 1200 poems. Now, 1200 is quite a lot. So please tell us, when did you start dabbling in poetry and how was the reception for Faqeera Chal Chala Chal, a book of yours?
So Prashant, as I said, I started writing in 2014 because of the reunion, the Bitsparani reunion. Initially, I was not writing under the name Faqeera. I was writing without a pen name, and just like that. I can't even recall when I started using the pen name Faqeera. I can't recall that exact moment, but it came to me, and then I started writing. And one day my dad, he was visiting Singapore and he didn't know I wrote poetry. And my wife, Jyoti, she shared some of the poetry with him. And he said, "Ya tu to acha likh leta hai." I said, "Huh, Papa, I try." He says, "Why don't you publish a book?" I said, "Papa, it's too much of an effort. I just write and post on Facebook. I don't even have them combined at one place." And he said, "No, no, no, you must do it." And he told my wife, Jyoti bete, please ensure that he publishes a book. I said, "There's no way I'm going to do that." He said, "Yaar dekh aisa hai, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well." And he said, by publishing a book, I mean, right now everybody can and does publish a book. That time, 8 years back, publishing a book was not that easy. He said, whatever is worth doing at all is worth doing well. And by publishing this book, you are doing justice to what, destiny has showered you with. And also you will leave a legacy. So, yeah. So then I started collating all the poems, and Jyoti helped and my family helped. And our idea was, we didn't want to sell the book. The idea was, whatever revenue the book generates, we will top it up dollar by dollar, and sort of contribute to some of the nice causes that need some sort of a support. So, so I think Faqeera Chal Chala Chal would have sold about 2,000, 3,000 copies. That's about it. And it would have total generated a revenue of about probably 5 lakhs, and we would have topped it up by the same amount and then just contributed to some of the causes related to the girl child and the elderly. And yeah, that was the idea. So Faqeera Chal Chala Chal was within my circle pretty well received, and people still have those copies and they still quote and they still send me, "Oh Sunil, आज ये poem पढ़ी, इसका अब meaning अलग नजर आता है." I love it. It's a good feeling. Yeah.
Is it available on Amazon still?
No, but I think I may have some 5 or 10 copies with me. When we meet next, I'll just get one for you, definitely.
That'll be a treat. So thanks for
Yeah.
that. And the second in the Faqeera anthology, which you published in February 2024, is called equally interestingly, Kehet Faqeera Sun Mere Bandhu.
Yeah.
How is this book different than the first edition of Faqeera Chal Chala Chal?
Yeah, Prashant, within 2 years of Faqeera Chal Chala Chal, I wanted to bring in the other book, and it was going to be called Kahat Faqeera Sun Mere Bandhu, because in some of the poems I use this word Kahat Faqeera Sun Mere Bandhu. I think this came from probably Kahat Kabira Sun Mere Sadho, something. So something must have played in my head when I was writing this line. And then unfortunately I lost my parents, and then I was completely distracted and derailed. And then it was our elder daughter who was turning 21, and my wife said, this will be the best gift you could give it to her. So immediately compiled all of them into a book, landed in Delhi, got somebody to do it. And it took a lot of time to do the cover page, because I wanted it in a certain manner. And finally, on her birthday, before that, I went to Shirdi, took Baba's blessings, and came back to Singapore on her birthday and gifted her this book. So if it was not my wife Jyoti who had inspired me that on our elder daughter Ria's birthday, you need to this has to be the gift, I probably wouldn't have done it. The difference is not much. Uh, Both are very similar, because it's at the end of the day, it's a collection, and I'm picking and compiling. The only difference is that in first, these are chapters on life, on time, zindagi, waqt, dosti, pyar, mohabbat, those kind of chapters. In the second one, I took off completely, avoided the chapter love, because I realized that I have over 100 poems on love, and I want to do my third book, which will purely be a collection of the love poems. So, other than that, Kahat Faqeera and Chal Faqeera are pretty similar in nature. Yeah.
Awesome. And creatively eclectic as you are, you also did a show with RJ Naved, which was called Suno, a poetic love story.
Yeah.
This was released on February the 14th. What an interesting
Yes.
day for a
Ye-
poetic love story
Yes.
in 2024 on YouTube and Insta. So please tell our viewers a little bit more about this, how this show was conceived, what it was all about, and how was your
Sure.
experience working with RJ Naved, who is more known for his lift pranks these days when he asks people to dance.
Yeah. So Naved is an incredible guy, right? So I think one fine day I woke up 4:30 in the morning with this thought in my head, Suno. And I started typing. And my wife got up, what are you doing? I said, I'm just writing something. And then I completely, in like 1 hour, this is my longest poem till date. I call it the Veer Zara of my poetry, or I call it Shakuntala of my Mahakavya, right? So it's a very long poem. It actually spans the life, uh, from a young age, two lovers to all them when they meet after 30, 40 years, right? So when I did this poem, when I wrote this poem, there's a poetry group on which, WhatsApp poetry group, I am a member. Most of them are IT folks on that, and they are like working in companies like Accenture, AWS, and Oracle, and those guys, mostly in India, and some in Singapore, some in Europe and US. So I shared it. Couple of people gave their suggestions, and they completely helped me refine the poem. And then Swati, she works with the bank in Gurgaon. She's a I think director with the bank in Gurgaon, and then she recites. She has a magical voice, so she recited this, some lines of this, and I said, this is the time to probably do a bigger version of the poetry, which is like do it up in a proper, like an album sort of a manner. And we wanted a voice which complements Swati's voice. She has a very, Rekha, one of the most popular Bollywood heroines. Her voice is pretty much like Rekha, very soft, very melodious, very magical and smooth voice. We wanted somebody with a very deep, baritone voice, right? Like Amitabh. So one of the friends suggested, he said, why don't you try Naved? I said, Naved then for poetry? I said, why not? We reached out to Naved. He was very open to the idea. He said, why not? I've never done it. And we just got into a studio, we recorded with Naved and Swati live, and then obviously later we released it as Suno. If you hear that, it's on Insta, it's on YouTube. If you hear that, you will realize that, it gives you a Amitabh Bachchan and Rekha kind of a feeling. So yeah, Naved, working with him was a great experience. I'm just waiting for another one, which is Suno caliber, so that I can approach him again and do another one. Yeah.
Awesome. In fact, yesterday I was watching this movie Tere Ishq Mein, and in the recent past watched the Ek Divane Ki Divaniya, then Sayyara. So just this question just occurred to me: have you ever fallen in love that was not requited? Come on.
I think, probably young age, college days, probably. Yeah, yeah. Pretty natural. But you know what? Destiny has its own plans for you. And today, my wife and I, we are more like lovers than we are husband and wife. And our girls, they make so much fun of us. They said, you two behave like teenagers. I said the love has to always be in your heart, and love should always be alive, always be childlike, always uh, be excited. Otherwise you start slowing down. I believe that something that I want to share. My default is love and trust. And I believe that if you start judging people, when will you have time to love or trust them? So my default is love and trust. Sometimes it goes against you, but it is what it is. I mean, if you look at my post, my poetry, I truly believe in love for each other, love for between husband wife, between lovers, between parents, and between friends. But love, I think, is what keeps the world going. Otherwise this will become an AI driven world. Yeah, so
I think that's very profound, which you said that that by default you love and trust others, so that you have time for the rest of the things, which otherwise you waste a lot of time in the beginning, not loving, not trusting.
yeah,
That's
yeah,
profound, I think.
yeah.
So you'd love to, we'd love you to read for us one of your favorite poems and tell us the inspiration behind it.
One of my favorite poems. Okay. Unfortunately, I don't have the book with me now, but it's okay. It may not be my favorite poem, but I want to share something very interesting. People generally, when they see you as a successful entrepreneur on the LinkedIn, and sharing and not being ruffled by anything. If you see my poetry or my LinkedIn post, it appears that the person is on his own zone and he doesn't care what's going on, right? Uh, and generally we make assumptions about people's lives. Everybody goes through their own share of uh, tough, times, and during one of the tough times, I'll share with you. There was a time when my business was really not doing very well. And one of the evenings, I was walking on the East Coast Park, Singapore, ECP, just right across my house. My wife called. She said, Sunil, um, it's about to rain. When are you coming home? I looked up, and it was all dark, right? Singapore, it can get dark like this, the clouds, the dark clouds. I looked up and I said, जरा ऊपर देख फकीरा बदली काली हो गई आसमां को भी पता चल गया तेरी जेब खाली हो गई. So this is not one of my favorite poems, but yeah, this came right from heart that you're not doing well and suddenly everything is appearing dark. So a lot of such moments, small moments, small poems come. I've written a lot on how should one should always be positive in life and keep being alive is precious. It is the most beautiful thing that can happen to anybody, irrespective of what your situation, what you're going through. जीवन है अनमोल अमृत, इसकी हर बूंद पीना चाहता हूँ. जीने से पहले कैसे मर जाते हैं लोग फकीरा, मैं तो मरने के बाद भी जीना चाहता हूँ. So those are some of the thoughts that I like to promote and advocate, that always be positive. Things will happen for the best.
Wonderful. And looking back at your career and all your thought processes, it reminds me of these couple of lines that कौन कहता है आसमां में सुराख नहीं हो सकता एक
एक
पत्थर तो
पत्थर
तबीयत से उछाल कर
तबीयत
फेंको
से
फेंको
ज्यादा.
यारों. This
Yes,
it's
yes.
wonderful. And
And this is so true. This is so true. This is not only a philosophical share, it is so true. But just try. One has to try. Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, you have been an employee, you have been an entrepreneur, and I dare say you could say, for example, बहुत भली है कटुक निबोरी कनक कटोरी की मैदा से. So you want to rather have those, bitter nimbolis, the fruit of the neem tree, rather than sitting inside a golden, pinjra and cage, confining yourself and eating sweets over there and all kinds of dishes. But I'm now going to ask a question, and it is not going to be how to become a successful entrepreneur, which you are. This is because not all are destined to be entrepreneurs. What about the rest of us who are employees and probably will never become entrepreneurs? Should we live in shame? Should we be proud of ourselves? Should we think that we are forever relegated to the status of a slave in our life? Should we work in a minimal fashion? Should we give it our all to the company we work for? What would be your message to all the people out there who are employees and not entrepreneurs?
Prashant, I think this is all noise and words. You're a slave, you're a corporate slave, you do this, you do this. Don't let it impact yourself. If anybody's words and anybody's thoughts can impact us fundamentally, it means our fundamentals are weak. Simple as that, right? So Entrepreneurship has its lot of benefits, value creation, wealth creation, other stuff. It has lots of sacrifices and challenges. Being an executive has its lots of benefits. You're getting a good salary, you're flying business class, you go stay in the best of the hotels, wine and dine, and then you're not worried about paying somebody next month. This it has its negatives that unless you are into an ESOP mode, the upside is capped, right? Second is nowadays, the challenges of being downsized, and those are real challenges. Third is typically when one is a nice, really good executive and you have some income coming in, you like to upgrade your lifestyle, and if sometimes that can become a challenge because if the job is taken away, that lifestyle can feel stressed, right? There's no right or wrong. I believe that one has to be convinced about what one is doing. I am convinced that I can be a good entrepreneur, or I am convinced that I cannot be a good entrepreneur. I'm convinced that I can thrive in a large company with a large resource pool, make doing millions of dollars worth of project. Or I am convinced and I feel very comfortable selling a $2,000 thing and then building. Who you are, what you want from your life should decide your career path, your life, nobody else. Yes, other things, other factors will have some impact here and there. Fundamentally, it has to be who you are here and what's your why. Simon says, what's your why? So, what's your why? However, one thing I always advocate, and I would want to say again here, everybody deserves the next orbit, right? Everybody deserves the next orbit, and we try to reach the next orbit in our lifestyles and in our lives, right? A quantum jump rarely comes from, or an orbit shifting jump rarely comes from following the career path, right? It does. I mean, you started here, you will be here, but what do you call a financial freedom and not caring whether you go to office tomorrow or not or whatever, unless you hit ESOPs, you have to necessarily, or unless you get lucky with real estate or stocks, you have to necessarily be participating in the equity into the company. So my thought always is, if one among the pair, if one spouse is doing pretty well in a career and that money is enough to take care of the expenses and more, the other spouse should at least try entrepreneurship once. If you succeed, you are suddenly taking a orbit shifting velocity. If you fail, it's okay. You are at least not getting bankrupt because the other spouse is handling the expenses. It's you. We work in pairs, right? Husband wife pairs, and I think this is where uh, I would continue to recommend, however small, if and among the two, whoever is the higher earning should continue to to work in the company, and the other person who has a lower income should or can try entrepreneurship. This is what how you strike a balance. Yeah.
Wonderful. I think that's profound that, the husband and wife can and hunt in pairs and lions hunt in packs, right? So
Yeah.
that's cool. Was it true for you as well?
Me and my wife, we left the jobs in the same week, and both of us turned entrepreneurs, which was not a great idea. It worked out, but it was risky. I mean, she and I, we decided that we want to go on our own, like the same week. It was risky, but it worked out, thankfully. All his blessings. Yeah.
Wonderful. Wonderful. So you're now settled in Singapore. So please tell us a little bit about your life in Singapore with your family. What's a typical day? What do you love about the city? And have you also learned Chinese Mandarin by now?
I love everything about Singapore. Everything. The safest, the cleanest, the most functional, the most effective place on this planet. Non-negotiable. This without doubt. It gives you time. It doesn't drive you nuts unless you are into. really a tough job, and you're trying to really make a mark for yourself. It gives you time for yourself. There's a peace of mind. People don't bother you on weekends or after work hours unless you're working in a global role. uh, uh, Green, absolutely lush green. It's a city in a garden. Singapore has contributed a lot to my professional and personal life, and I'm indebted, right? Like I'm indebted to, as I said, Bits, Veritas, Watchguard, and now Singapore. Uh, we are not settled here. I'm not a citizen yet. I'm a resident, and any day, it could be a different country depending upon the circumstances at that time. But as long as possible, we want to continue to live here. My family is here. My elder girl, she finished her undergrad from SMU, Singapore Management University. She wants to live here she wants to find a job here and live here. So pretty much you can say for next foreseeable future, uh, we have no plans to move out of this place. Unplanned things can happen, but yeah, there's no plan to move out as such. I missed the other part of the question that you asked.
Did you learn a little bit of Chinese by the way?
Yeah, a little, very, 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 very little, because Singapore everybody speaks English. Everybody speaks English. So yeah, I mean, you learn the different language where people do not speak a language which both of you can understand. We picked up little bit. I mean, very little. Yeah.
Would you like to say something?
No, 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 no. I'm not really. Ni hao. How are you?
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
all.
You
And
said,
nobody says ni hao in Singapore. People say, how are you? It's all in
yeah, that's
question.
right.
Yeah, yeah.
So you're in Singapore. So I'd like to ask you, how do you view India sitting out there, especially how India has evolved over 10 plus years, in the new regime?
Difficult question. I think I am a I like the new regime, and I feel that a lot of right things have been done. Uh, it's a big country, big potential, big challenges. We all know that. I'm repeating what's been said forever. Big opportunities, big challenges. Few areas where I would want to see improvement in my lifetime is the collective responsibility. Not everything government can do. Government can do a lot of things, but not everything. Uh, if there's apathy among ourselves, what can government do, right? If I honk and if I do not, I'm talking about Delhi, if I do not stick to my lane, no minister is going to come and start managing the traffic for us, right? So I believe that scope of improvement is infinity, million times, right? From where we are to where we can be in every aspect, whether it's infra, whether it's day-to-day life, whether it's pollution, whether it's building something that China has built or US is building. Scope is immense. I believe one thing that we all need is is a feeling of ownership. As Indians, we need to have this feeling that, yeah, my contribution matters, even if it is 1%, even if I am not throwing trash in the trash bin, I'm throwing outside. It matters. It adds up and it becomes a pile. So let the change start from me, something that I believe. It's a professional change, personal change, daily change, lifestyle. I will not honk, come what may, and I will write it on LinkedIn that, guys, I've stopped honking. Who all are on this no honking challenge with me? I mean, just saying, right? There are million things where we can improve. I think in last 10, 15 years, we have really done very well in a lot of aspects. But it's a journey, right? It's an ongoing journey. And do I see India of my dreams in next 20 years? I don't know. I would love to see, but I don't know. Yeah.
Wonderful. You are in your 50s now, and Touchwood, you look fit as fiddle. So can you tell us a little bit about how you take care of your health with perhaps diet and exercise and the routines you follow? I ask this because you must be going with 5 stars, traveling a lot, and there's always temptations out there. And while you are at it, your thoughts on meditation.
Uh, Great question, Prashant. I read a thought. You may have all the problems in the life. till you get a health problem, and then you have only one problem. All right. If you, and in Hindi, I mean, in our Shastra, we always say, Pehla Sukh Nirogi Kaya. Pehla Sukh Nirogi Kaya, Pehla Sukh Nirogi Kaya, Pehla Sukh Nirogi Kaya. If health is not good, nothing feels good. Money doesn't feel good. The business class doesn't feel good. The five stars don't feel good. Nothing feels good if your health is not good. So I did go through a very, very tough health challenge 6 years back, 2019. Sometimes there's a good in bad, and that challenge was very difficult. It was very difficult to recover from, and it took me a couple of years to recover. But after that, I became very, very careful about what I eat, how much I eat, when I eat. Exercise, I do like to go to gym thrice a week. Other than that, at home, that, people generally give a lot of excuses. Excuses are poison, right? There are three small things that you can do every day. You can do push-ups, you can do squat, and you can do planks. If you do these three things for 15-20 minutes, more or less, it's taken care of, right? More the better. Obviously, I'm not a health expert. There are fantastic health experts who are giving so much precious information on social media free of cost. One can go, but I believe if you are doing squats, planks, and push-ups, more or less you are at least keeping your body viable. And definitely the walks, after every meal you do a 1,000 steps walk, 10 minutes walk, that keeps your insulin under control. I hear it, I read it, and I do it. Food, I turned a vegetarian long back, and I don't take alcohol. I don't drink sugary drinks, and I'm very, very low on sugar as much as I can. Moved to millets sometime back. And yeah, I mean, this is about it. If I go out, if I'm in people tell me, oh, here's a 7 course meal. I said, all I want is two idlis, right? And I'm good, right? So, or a Greek yogurt with some berries thrown at it. So I think it's about being fundamentally strong on what you want to feed your body. You are what you eat, right? So what you want, don't make your body a trash bin. Feed it the right stuff and it will thank you. And yeah, it's a machine. The more it is used, better. Navjot Singh Sidhu says, better rust, better wear out than rust, right? So yeah, so make your body work and ensure that it's the machine is being used. Small little things, but I think there's a lot of beautiful, precious information available on Insta, on YouTube, on LinkedIn. One can, and one thing I want to really tell everyone: invest in a nutritionist now than spending on a surgeon later. It's a small investment. 3,000 rupees a month, get a nutritionist. 5,000 rupees a month, get a trainer, than giving lakhs to a surgeon later. Yeah.
Yeah, wonderful. A stitch in time saves nine. Penny wise, pound foolish. But I want to intrude. But since people love you, I I ask you. And you mentioned 2019. You faced a health crisis. Would you like to tell us a little bit more about it?
Uh, it's personal. I haven't shared it with many people, but I tell you what, when people say that, I mean, people in my age are going through, a young age, 30, 32, are going through heart attacks and cardiac arrest, and they're falling dead. Somebody is in shower falling, 32 years old, taking shower, falling dead. Is it stress? Is it heart? Is it what? All right. We got to we got to figure that out. We got to figure out whether stress or whatever is worth a life. And the problem is not that somebody passes away. The problem is that you leave a young family behind, right? And what do they do, right? And COVID, so many people left. After that, I wrote multiple posts on LinkedIn that, guys, invest in health, invest in insurances, buy term plans, write a will, ensure that your spouse knows what is investment, what is loans. So make this a family knowledge, make this a family responsibility. Buying insurance for the, I mean, 20x insurance of your annual income to the for the main breadwinner is very important. I don't know why people continue to ignore such important factors of life. God forbid something happens to you, what will happen to your family, right? So you don't want them to be doing those social media campaigns that we need so much money to take care of loans. You don't want that, right? So be give your family a dignified and a graceful life. So ensure yourself well. So now coming to that. So see, uh, it's one moment that changes your life. You go for your blood works, you are fine, you have no problems, and it tells you something else, and suddenly your life changes, right? And you are no longer that. So it can happen to anybody, or a ECG tells you your whatever, your wall is going. I don't know the medical details, but your your 90% blockage. Fit and fine people, suddenly the one diagnosis can change your life forever. So I would like to say and believe that keep doing those tests so that there's not that one moment that comes and shocks you. A stitch in time saves nine, right? Make health your first priority. Everything else secondary is what I would want to say. Yeah.
Wonderful and fair enough. And Sunil Sapra, we wish you, that from I suppose I can safely say on behalf of the viewers that आप जिए हजारों साल और हर साल के दिन हो 50,000. You know, so what would be your message to the younger generation of today? Some things you always wanted to pass on to them so that they don't repeat the same mistakes which perhaps our generation did.
Thank you very much for the wishes, Prashant. One thing I want to tell everyone, which live deliberately, live intentionally. Don't be on a hamster wheel and let your routine drive you so hard that you do not have time to step back and think. Think every day. Pause. Take a pause. 5 minutes, 10-minute pause. How did my day go? Is this how I want my day to go? Is this how I want my life? Live intentionally, as I said, right? Um, and always, it's difficult, but know what you want from life. It's difficult. Sometimes it takes 70 years to know, oh, this is not what I wanted. Don't be that, oh, this is not what I wanted. These are the few things I want from my life. And do not confuse comfort with happiness. Money can bring comfort, money doesn't bring happiness. Uh, do not confuse comfort with happiness. Do you want comfort? It's okay. Work for comfort. Do you want happiness? Work for happiness. But be intentional about what you are doing. And at the end of the day, have a fakir like fakiriyat or fakirism in your heart, and you know that it's all at the end of the day, it's all temporary. Be in it and yet be outside of it. Build that attached detachment sort of stuff. Chal chala chal, fakira chal chala chal, as I say, and yeah, live like a fakir and see how if that helps.
Thanks for that, Sunil. It was a pleasure talking to you. May you keep the Faqeera within you alive and ignite the same in the hearts of countless others. Thanks for a very candid conversation. Ladies and gentlemen, we have been in conversation with a poet, a successful entrepreneur, and above all, a man with a heart of gold, Sunil Sapra.
Thank you very much. Thanks, Prashant. It was lovely catching up with you after I don't know how many decades. Would love to meet you one on one, probably, hopefully in Delhi soon. And to everyone, chal chala chal, Faqeera, chal chala chal.